Hello and welcome to Educo Motivation. In this video, you'll learn all about the law of polarity, one of the 12 laws of the universe and the 10th in our series. You'll discover the concept of duality and why understanding it provides perspective and ultimately success. This video will transform the way you view the world and cause a paradigm shift in your thinking. Keep up to date with our latest videos by hitting subscribe and turning on notifications. Please show your support by clicking like. So let's get started. The law of polarity decrees that everything has an opposite. Everything that has a top must have a bottom. Everything that has an outside must have an inside. Everything that has a downside must have an upside. Good and bad, right and wrong, hot and cold, night and day, positive and negative. Everything has an opposite. And this applies to all things, great and small. Polarity exists in everything, right down to the infinitesimal atom. An atom is the smallest particle of an element that can exist on its own. Each atom is composed of 3 primary particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. Neutrons have no charge, while electrons have a negative charge and protons have a positive charge. This duality provides the polarization that gives form to all things. The proton and the electron effectively bind matter together. So everything we experience in life is drawn and bound into physical form through the law of polarity. The opposing power creates the attraction in all things. Not only does everything have an opposite, but it is equal and opposite. If it's 238,000 miles to the moon, then it's 238,000 miles back to Earth. This concept of equal and opposite is necessary for balance within our universe. We take it for granted, but everything must have duality. The corresponding opposite is needed, as one cannot exist without the other. Put differently, opposing and separate sides are one and the same, because in unison they make up the whole. Consider planet Earth. It has a North Pole and a South Pole. They are opposite ends of the spectrum, but essentially connected, essentially part of the one planet. They are extremes of the same continuum, alike yet different. And this polarization creates the magnetic fields that protect us from the sun's solar winds. In this regard, we would not even exist without the law of polarity. Polarization equally applies to human life, feelings, and emotions. Living a meaningful life requires traversing endless continuums end to end. It involves cycling through periods of extreme grief, sadness, stress, and anxiety at one end of the spectrum, counterbalanced by inevitable periods of intense joy, love, happiness, and peace at the other end of the spectrum. You are equipped with the necessary mental faculties to deal with and adapt to all scenarios. You can always choose the positive expression of the polarity to effectively deal with any situation. If something you consider bad happens in your life, there must be something good about it. You need to realize that every situation just is. You make it positive or negative by virtue of how you choose to think about it. When you look at the situation one way, it might be negative, but if you change your perspective and consider it from the opposite viewpoint, it might be positive. For example, getting fired might not be a bad thing. It might provide the impetus to set up that business you always wanted. In this context, the opposite of knowledge is ignorance. Many people live in ignorance all their lives with respect to the universal laws. They don't know, and they don't even know they don't know. They say that life is hard, but it doesn't have to be the way it stays. Energy flows into your consciousness, and you get to decide whether it's negative or positive. One is the polar opposite of the other, so your choice will produce completely different results. But at all times, you retain godlike ability to shape this energy into any thought you choose. This thought is a seedling that sets off a chain reaction of circumstances, both intended and unintended. Now really think about this. Every thought you think is the start of an attitude, and your attitude is represented in the energy you give off. Energy is coming from you every day. Everywhere you go, you are scattering this energy all over the place. When it's real good energy going out, it will be real good energy coming back. It's a classic action-reaction. That's an immutable law, and you can either work with the law through understanding or work against the law through ignorance. The choice is up to you. So if an idea flows into your consciousness and you're perturbed by it, ask the question, does this idea serve me? Does this idea move me closer to my goals? If the idea does not move you towards your goals, then push it to the edge of your awareness and don't give it any emotional energy. As Emerson said, the only thing that can grow is the thing you give energy to. Remember, concentration increases amplitude of vibration. So if you emotionalize an idea, you give it more energy and allow it access to your subconscious mind, where it will condition you and shape your paradigm. Belief and doubt are polar opposites. The results they produce could not be further apart. Belief is positive energy, doubt is negative energy, and both will manifest what they are in harmony with. The problem is, you might be working hard towards something, you're giving it everything you've got, but you might keep doubting it's ever going to happen. Well, that's turning the steering mechanism. It's taking you off course. It's not just doubt, it's a choice of thoughts. That choice of thoughts becomes feelings, and the feelings become vibration, and the vibration sets off an action, and the action causes an attraction, and so that doubt manifests in form. We all want certain results, and perhaps the results you are getting in your life right now are not the results you want. Perhaps your bank account is empty, your business is failing, or you're drowning in debt. In this case, you need to be careful not to put a crown on circumstance. Circumstances are transient, but stick around for as long as you permit them to. In times of lack or limitation, most people take the power flowing into their consciousness and manifest doubt or worry. In this context, you've taken a powerful energy that is without form and you've given it negative form. You've given it a negative polarity. The problem is that you are looking outside and you are letting the outside control you. And just like that, your attitude goes negative too. Direction comes from within, not from without. To desire is to expect, and to expect is to achieve. You must expect the result you seek. So your desire puts you in touch with the thing you want, and your expectation pulls it towards you. It all starts with a thought, and thought is nothing but an impulse of pure energy. You are dealing with the most complex electrical system in the universe with your central nervous system. You shift into a positive or a negative vibration in an instant. You think, you activate cells, you set up a vibration, you take action, and you get the results you are in harmony with. That's the way it works. When we move into a negative polarity, we instantly begin to move in that direction. But we don't just think on a conscious level. Just as fast, that idea goes into our subconscious mind and sets up a negative vibration known as fear. James Allen pointed out in As a Man Thinketh that fear has been known to kill a person faster than a speeding bullet. It's such a destructive vibration. In fact, fear is the only human emotion that pertains to something which hasn't happened. When you think about it, faith and fear both demand that you believe in something that you cannot see. So why not choose faith and control the results you get? This fear can be things like, we are going to run out of money, we're not going to have enough to make this work, this is not going to work, we have a serious problem on our hands. That energy has to be expressed. It's inside. It has to be expressed. That is an absolute law. This energy is flowing to and through us, and it doesn't just disappear. It instantly sets up a physical vibration known as anxiety. It happens at tremendous speed. This person is consciously and deliberately attracting the things they do not want. As Job, the great sufferer in the Bible, said, "Lo, the thing I fear has come to visit upon me." That's what you are asking for, so that's what you get. And you might say, well, I'm not asking for that. Yes, you are. Fear is a very powerful vibration. It always turns into anxiety, but anxiety is never expressed. Anxiety is almost always suppressed. We bottle it up inside. We start to wonder why we get the migraine, the IBS, or the upset tummy. It happens because all of this energy we are suppressing, it has to be expressed somewhere, in some way. This goes way beyond positive thinking. It refers to negative vibration. All vibrations manifest in form ultimately. We don't back it up and just decide not to do this anymore because we are negatively programmed. It's all part of the paradigm. Why would we take that unadulterated power and do something with it to attract things we don't want? We do it because we are ignorant, and this ignorance sets off a chain reaction. The suppression turns into depression. Depression turns into what we refer to as dis-ease. And dis-ease is a physical body that's not at ease. Dis-ease turns into disintegration, and this is a sin. This is transgression of the law. And it's all caused by ignorance. It's all caused by a negative polarity. You have to learn to just let the energy flow. Dis-ease is when you are not letting it flow. Dis-ease is when the body is not at ease. Things tighten up. The flow is restricted. We have to learn to live in harmony with the law. When we do, then business grows, the body heals, relationships flourish, and bank accounts accumulate. Everything works out the way we want it to. So you can choose a positive polarity. A faith-based understanding of the law of polarity is the key to the freedom you seek. Faith is the ability to see the invisible, to believe in the incredible, to receive the impossible. You can take this idea, get emotionally involved with it, and by law, it has to move into form, all the time, every time. You have to understand that if you don't hold the image in your mind of the thing you want, then you're never going to get it. You don't switch back and forth. You've got to understand that this power which is flowing into your consciousness is a creative power. The second you impress it upon your subjective mind, instantly by law, it begins to move into form. The fact you don't see it doesn't matter. You don't see it because you don't understand it. You've got to have faith. When a person is anxious and they are going down that negative polarity, you can tell it by the way they walk. You see it in everything they do. The energy is flowing and they are channeling it in a negative way. They look like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders and they are just giving off all the wrong vibes. When a person is operating with the law, it too expresses itself in everything they do. They exude well-being. We'd say they have a spring in their step because they are at ease. As James Allen put it so eloquently, calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It's the result of long and patient effort in self-control. You control yourself. You don't let the bank account control you. You don't let the business control you. You don't let your circumstances control you. It's all about self-control. When you're at ease, there is no disintegration. You get creation. You have a creative intellect. You can create something absolutely incredible. It really is your choice. So be ignorant or be knowledgeable, you decide. But realize whatever you decide is pervasive and instantaneous. So pick ignorance and you'll get worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, suppression, dis-ease and disintegration all at once. This is the same as when you flick a light switch. The power is instantly everywhere. The second you find yourself in this ignorant vibration, flick back to the knowledgeable vibration. Talk to yourself, be grateful. Be grateful for everything you have, for even the fact you can think and know this. Most people don't know this. They don't know it. This is a huge lesson most people never learn. You've got to learn to sacrifice. You have to let go sometimes. Sacrifice is the act of depriving oneself of something for the sake of attaining some goal. You need to see sacrifice as giving up something of a lower nature so that you can make room to receive something of a higher nature. Let it go. Nature abhors a vacuum, so you have to make room for the reality you want to bring forth from formless substance. Buckminster Fuller once said, "You never change things by fighting an existing reality. To change things, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." So you got to go at it a different way. Realize that everything is create or disintegrate. You are either going ahead or going backwards. Your company is either succeeding or failing. This happens by design and not by default. You have to make a decision. Once you make the decision, you just do it. If you take a long time to make a decision, then you take a long time to do whatever it is you need to do. You don't have to be good at everything, but whatever you do, get really good at it. Make up your mind, you can always get better. You have to act on the ideas. Think, what can I begin doing right now that's different, that's going to improve the quality of my life? You really need to make a conscious effort to use the law of polarity in your favor. Too many people dwell on the negative side of everything, which puts them in a negative vibration. Remember, every bad has something good in it. Look for the good in every situation and focus your attention on that good. This will put you in a positive vibration that will attract more of the good and less of the bad. In effect, you become what you think about. You can choose negative thoughts or you can choose positive thoughts. Negative thoughts attract negative outcomes. Positive thoughts attract positive outcomes. The most successful people view every situation as necessary for their spiritual unfolding. Therefore, irrespective of your current circumstances, you need to find the positive that lurks inside every negative. You need to become what W. Clement Stone calls an inverse paranoid. Ironically, this is the polar opposite to being paranoid. An inverse paranoid believes that the world, the universe, and everyone in it is conspiring to help them achieve everything they want to be, do, and have. In effect, they truly believe that everyone is in their corner, doing everything they can to enrich, empower, and advance their causes. I'm sure you can appreciate that this attitude lends itself to an unrelenting sense of positive expectancy. You need to develop the attitude that everything which happens to you in life is necessary to bring about the things you want. When something bad happens, most people curse their luck. Conversely, you need to adopt the mindset that there is a reason for everything that shows up in your life. In effect, the universe is moving you in the direction of your ultimate destiny through a process of learning, growth, and adjustment. When something bad happens, ask yourself, what is the best thing about this situation? What can I learn from what I'm experiencing? How can I transmute this situation into a positive outcome? These questions focus your marvelous mind on the opportunity that exists inside every situation. Instead of drowning in pity, it empowers you to step forward in faith. What you need to understand here is that appearances can be deceptive. Something that might first appear to be bad often turns out to be a blessing in disguise. Significant things happen in order to push us into a different orbit. We all cling to regular routines and patterns, but sometimes the only way to force us to change direction is a pattern interrupt. As Napoleon Hill put it, every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or a greater benefit. Ralph Waldo Trine wrote in his book, In Tune with the Infinite, that nothing is good or bad except our thinking makes it so. In effect, every situation just is. You make it good or bad by deciding how you are going to think about it. You set the polarity of your response. If a situation appears to be extremely negative, then you need to change your perspective. Look at the situation through the lens of opportunity. Remember, the bad times are what give the good times their euphoria. Some of the most successful people in the world had difficult childhoods. Many used these bad times as the fuel that flamed their motivation to change their situation. In effect, if they didn't experience the bad, then they would not be experiencing the good today. They boxed up the negative energy and burned it as fuel to blaze a path in a new direction. Consider the fact failure is the polar opposite of success. Yet, without failure, it's difficult to experience success. You didn't learn to walk the first time your feet touched the floor. You fell down, but you kept getting up. You failed your way to success. Likewise, a rocket doesn't fly on a perfect arc to the moon. Its cybernetic system is continuously adjusting its course to get there. In effect, a rocket fails its way to the moon. As the founder of IBM, Tom Watson, once put it, if you want to increase your success rate, double your failure rate. Failure and success are opposite ends of the same continuum. Yet, in order to traverse the distance between the two, you have to work towards the positive outcome you seek. The perfect illustration of this concept is Thomas Edison. It is said he failed 10,000 times en route to creating the filament for the incandescent light bulb. Yet his attitude was always the polar opposite to the results he was experiencing. He famously remarked, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." In effect, he saw each failure as a success because he had successfully ruled out 10,000 ways that won't work. Ultimately, this eventually led him to the one way that did work. So always look for the good in every bad. Realize that negative circumstances exist to help you to create positive outcomes. Your attitude is the instrument that releases the good from every bad. And everything begins with a thought. You choose a positive polarity or a negative polarity. This sets off a reaction that creates your results. So work with the power and create the life you really want. Keep up to date with our latest videos by hitting subscribe and turning on notifications. Please show your support by clicking like. Be sure to click the next video on your screen right now. This features the next law in our series, the Law of Rhythm. It reveals the cyclical nature of everything and why both good times and bad times present opportunities for success. This video will empower you to deal with challenging times much more effectively, ensuring that no matter what, you always come out on top.